It's amazing how many people came to me with the same question, unprovoked and separate from one another. Anytime I had, chats, forums, things like that, people could message me and ask questions, and you know, it was difficult. It became difficult to do that with all the trolling that came along with it. And so I stopped that. But back when I still did that, I would get a lot of the same questions. And one of those very common questions was a question that, oddly enough, was not very easy to ask. It was very difficult to ask. It took a lot of strength and courage to ask it. And it all boils down to that there are two different kinds of shifters. And if you're not believing in shapeshifting, not even in the dream realm, then I guess you're just talking about the animal soul. That your soul is this species. But whatever the case is, no matter what you believe, we all have the same feeling inside us. There are two different main categories. There are the kind of shifter that is typically more rare, actually, that is not any sort of predator or protector species. But if you ask, most people will say it's some sort of predator or protector. And so that alternate form, it's linked to a lot more than just wanting to escape the realm of human society or living 1 foot in the human realm and 1 foot in nature. It goes a lot deeper than just having half of your soul or all of your soul is an animal. It goes a lot deeper than I'm just an animal stuck in a human's body type thing. It goes a lot deeper than that. Because the reason why you would shift is a reason of protection. You're a warrior of some kind. A long time ago, thousands of years ago, anytime somebody saw a shifter with those kinds of, predator-like species, they would know right away that even something like maybe a goat or something that is known for protection, they knew that those people would end up being warriors. And so they were designated, they would go around looking into the eyes of these children. These very wise people would see what they were meant to be. They wouldn't choose it for them. They would literally see what their soul is made of and what they were destined to be. And they're all different things. There were warriors, there were teachers, there were healers. And anytime they ran across somebody like this, they knew that they were destined for that. Unfortunately, in modern day society, it's people like us, it's difficult to fulfill that, because long time ago, when there was a threat out there, you would, and this is what our ancestors believed in, physically shapeshift into that animal, and you would become that animal to hunt whatever the threat was. And then you would hunt down the threat, and then you would kill it, and then you would eat it, usually. So that predator in you had very strong predator instincts. You're just as much an animal as you were anything else. Maybe even more so. And you might shift back and forth to animal human, but you were still very much this wild predator. And so nowadays that has to be harnessed. You can't just, whenever you want to, anytime you see somebody, and it will make you furious, anytime you see somebody that is of ill intent, even if they're not doing anything, actively doing anything, you could just tell that they're evil people. You can look in their eyes and just tell, and immediately you have this immense rage. Even if you're in close proximity to, but you're even unaware that they're there, but you're in close proximity to, you can start, for no reason at all, feeling rageful, and especially you can start having cravings, very odd cravings, the kind of stuff a predator would crave. And that's bringing us into, finally, the question that people ask. Anytime this question pops up, I will say that in general, yes, we were talking about shapeshifting. But other than that, it was just a general topic. It still was unprovoked. People came up to me, typically not physically, typically it was, I had one person that eye to eye asked me this, but most of the time it was people in chat rooms, forums, stuff like that, would ask me the same eerie question in a very, very similar wording. And the reason why that wording was so similar, I think, is because they were saying, okay, how can I say this the most humanly possible, normal way, even though I know that it's going to sound odd no matter how I say it? So they'd come to me and they'd say, it's just going to sound really odd, but I want to know if this is normal because it's really bothering me, and I feel like something's really wrong with me, so I just want to know if it's normal to immensely crave raw meat. And they were dead serious when they asked me that, but I knew right away, that's not what you really want to ask me, is it? What you really want to ask me is, why am I addicted to the taste of blood? That's what you really want to ask me. Raw meat, for most people, unless they live on a farm, isn't something freshly killed. Okay, it's something that's been sitting there, aging, or it's been something that's at the market, it's been the blood drained all out of it. Humans just hate the taste of blood. I don't know why, but they do. They hate the taste of blood, and they want to get rid of the taste. They want to disguise the taste by either draining the blood out of the animal completely, or profusely aging it until it tastes like rubber or rotten fish. And so at the market, if you get something fresh enough from that it can still have that taste, that metallic blood taste, you're not going to eat it raw as a human because you get sick. You at least have to cook it raw. So yeah, it might still have that taste, but you at least have to cook it raw. And if that was the case, why not just say, I like raw meat? But they would use the word raw. And so, I just knew that something was wrong there, because most people that were asking me this didn't even believe physical shapeshifting was possible. The people who did believe physical shapeshifting was possible had never shifted physically. And they're asking me this, and I'm thinking, well, you can't tell me that you tried it raw as a human, because you'd get sick. If you did try it raw as a human, then it probably didn't taste like you expected it to taste, because you wanted the taste of blood, didn't you? All it takes is, even as a child, just getting a paper cut and going like this, and then what blood tastes like. And once you know what blood tastes like, you'd never forget. And that is all it takes for you to crave it. And in modern day society, actually in any Abrahamic society for thousands of years, Abrahamic society has been like this. But we forget that in paganism, people used to understand this. They used to understand. And in modern society, they don't. They don't understand that it is simply the taste buds of a predator versus the taste buds of something that is more of a scavenger. And so really it's an unfair wrath that we've been given. But at the same time, that craving can get immense. The rage and the cravings can get immense when you're in proximity to what you would have thousands of years ago supposed to have been hunting down. Nowadays you can't do that because laws of modern society would have you in prison for life. But that rage is still there. The bloodlust is still there. The literal craving of how it tastes is still there. And you have to fight it. You do. There's no way around it. You just have to fight it. And for me, as a child, I was constantly exposed to somebody that was pure evil because I was abused and a lot of stuff I shouldn't have survived. I was constantly in that defense mode. And that defense mode is what makes it worse. And so for me, please understand that most people aren't going to have this much trouble controlling it, but I want to show you how real it is, how real of an issue this is. So those are all bite marks, over a decade old, actually almost 2 decades old now, from me drawing blood from my own flesh because I was afraid that if I didn't, I would attack somebody else. And yeah, now it's under control where I haven't had issues, in a very long time, 15 plus years. But it took that mind over matter, it really did. And ironically, if you don't allow yourself to be yourself, it just explodes. That's why I say mental shift actually in a safe manner. Don't just let yourself do anything and everything, because that's dangerous, but in a safe manner that you can give yourself an outlet and let yourself be yourself. And if you have to, find the freshest meat you can, find maybe jerky or something that has not a lot of spice to it, where it's been processed right after butcher and therefore retains some of the metallic blood taste. Eventually though, if you cannot find anything to hush that craving, then it's got to be mind over matter. Assuming that you either are human all the time or you're human, animal, back and forth. You will have to have that harness there. In order to do what our ancestors did, you'd have to live as they did. You'd have to, since there's no tribes anymore really that do that, very few, you'd have to make the change permanent. You'd have to permanently change into an animal to be able to live by nature's laws. But I want people to know that it's a natural thing, and it's something that with a bit of practice can be controlled. And it's simply, nothing's wrong with you. It's just, it's the taste buds of a predator versus the taste buds of a scavenger.